Team, Sales Academy 2.0, top for sale by owners, objections, part 2. I was running on fumes during part 1. I needed a freaking 5-minute break. We are back, guys, and we're gonna go right into it on this video. As you guys see, I'm breaking down every single objection. I'm showing you guys a couple different ways on how I would handle it. I want you guys to get creative and write down a couple different ways with the framework, agree and acknowledge, tie down, go back to the objective, present ABC, XYZ, like I was talking about. I want you guys to write that down, map it out. The easiest freaking part about sales, guys, is freaking objections. That is the easiest part. The hardest part is to get off the call 50 times in a row in a day and then get back on the call again and still think you're gonna win. That is the hardest part. The easiest part is the objections. I need you guys to sit down, watch these videos, make the notes, and make sure that you know exactly what to say on each objection. And all it becomes is a mathematical freaking equation on how to get rich, how to retire your family, how to live the best life, and how to execute everything you've ever wanted. You're with me? Let's go. Let's fucking rock it. Part 2. All right. I had a bad experience with an agent before. Hey, Alexis, look, man, we're going to do it for sale by owner. We don't want to list with anybody. I had a bad experience with an agent before. The first thing you want to do in that objection is you want to literally immerse yourself out of your body and put yourself in their shoes and literally try to feel what having a bad experience with an agent is. I have a home. I've owned homes. I've sold my homes. And it's very hard for me as a realtor and a real estate sales trainer to imagine delegating and giving the opportunity to someone else to sell my home and trust them with my negotiations, trust them with commissions and the hard-earned preserved equity that I made in my home. So we got to literally feel and be like, hey, look, John, like, first of all, I want to take a second to tell you, and I don't know if you've heard this, I don't know if another agent's told you this, but I want to say this. I completely understand as to why you would not want to work with another agent. I'm in this industry. I do this every day. I know we don't know each other, but I transact a lot. And a lot of the agents are not equipped to do what I am able to do. I know we don't know each other, but I understand. I understand why you'd never want to work with another agent again. And I truly feel for you. So I'm sorry you had that experience. Obviously, I'm looking at 123 Street here, and it sounds like this home is very beautiful. I'm looking at the pictures, and you want to preserve this equity, get your family from ABC to XYZ. Let me ask you this. If there was a 1% chance, notice the tonality, if there was a 1% chance that you could meet someone and find someone that could actually handle this process for you and bring you a way, way better result that you could have for you and your family, is that an idea you're like totally, completely against? Guys, how the frick is someone going to say no to that when we literally just completely brought their guard down to the floor and said, hey, John, look, bro, I get it, man. I get it. I really do, because you're literally relating to them. I can relate to you. I transact a lot. I know you don't know me. Like, catch these little things. I transact a lot, but I'm taking it back because I said, I know you don't know me, right? I'm not being cocky or arrogant because I said, I transact a lot, man. And I'm sorry to say, I know you don't know me and there's no credibility or proof behind that. But I work with a lot of agents, and man, there's some not good agents out there. So imagining you putting, a home that you've preserved equity in, I'm digging. I can imagine how difficult that would be. But obviously your goal for this home, correct me if I'm wrong, is to sell it for as much money as possible. So that if there was a 1% chance, John, that there was still an agent out there that you met with and that could actually collaborate with you together and bring you a better financial result and put your family from XYZ into ABC in a matter that was 100% okay with you, is that something you'd be completely against, right? That is the best way to handle that objection. They're probably gonna say, hey, when you put it like that, no. And then once they lean in, you say, hey, look, John, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know, and I can't guarantee you anything right now. I don't have enough information about the home. All I would want to do based on this conversation is just meet you, shake your hand, and figure out whether or not there's even a 5% chance. Notice how I bring that number down. It's a crazy technique, but I bring it down so they feel no sort of commitment to me, and I can get the appointment. If there was just a 5% chance, I want to go out there, take the time, meet you, shake your hand, meet you and your family, take a look at the home, and figure out whether or not any of the buyers or people that I have access to can fit this property and get you from XYZ to ABC. Guys, this is a really good one, and I want you guys to really immerse and understand what I just told you guys, okay? Let's go on to the next one. This is more of that confident, cocky, arrogant seller where they're like, look, man, I don't need a realtor to sell my house. Instead of going and saying, John, of course you need a realtor to sell your house. Statistically proven, 70% of the homes that sell for less money are for sale by owner. Instead of doing that nerdy, geeky shit, you guys want to say, hey, look, John, I agree with you, bro. The fact of the matter is that 100,000% you can sell this house on your own. From what it sounds like on this conversation, it sounds like you're an intelligent, educated individual. You have a home here on 123 that's worth $680,000. You're obviously doing something right. So I'm not going to get on this phone call and say you can't sell this home on your own. The fact of the matter is that you could. Whether or not you could sell it for the most amount of money, that is what it's in question here. So all I want to ask you, John, before I let you go, I know you're probably very busy. I have another call afterwards anyways. All I want to ask you is, if you met with someone that actually presented to you a strategy that put you in a position where you could actually 100% black and white sell this home for more money and put your family from XYZ into ABC in a much better financial situation, just because you do not want to sell with a realtor and you know that you don't need a realtor? Is that an idea you're totally, completely against, right? Get this entire concept, guys, and put it into the conversation in a way that goes with that conversation. That's a very long response. There's some conversations where the seller's very engaged and you can present something that long, and there's some conversations where you're gonna have to condense that. That's why I'm giving you these ideas, and it's your job to condense them and modify them to fit every conversation. If you guys listen to my cold calls, there's variations. There's variations, and I'm very good at emotional sales intelligence and picking up and receiving the other person's vibe and whether or not they want to stay on the phone. That is something very crucial and very key that I want to throw in there and add to this recipe, because it's not just the line. It's the way you deliver the line and when you deliver the line, okay? Very crucial, guys. Now, this is a very common one. I'm only meeting with realtors that have buyers. Oh yeah, hey John, look, 100%. So here's what we're gonna say. Hey, look, Alexis, man, I'm only meeting with realtors that have buyers. Hey, look, John, by the way, first and foremost, I just wanna say thank you for even giving me the time to share this information with me. From what you're telling me and what it sounds like, we're gonna tie down. From what you're telling me and what it sounds like, John, it seems like the main concern here, whether it be a listing agent, a buyer's agent, whether it be 4%, 5%, 6%, it sounds like your bottom line to me is making sure you walk away from this closing table with as much equity in your pocket as possible. Is that right? So obviously right now, John, it sounds like excluding the listing agent and doing this all on your own is the best way to do it. Let me ask you first, is the only reason why you don't want to work with somebody directly because of the commission, or is there another motive behind it? First of all, with this one, you want to find the real objection. Find out whether it's commission or if it's one of these other ones. I had about a real estate experience. I have real estate experience. You want to find out the real objection before you tie down. So you want to ask that question. Then you say, hey, look, John, if you met with someone that actually presented to you a strategy and it made sense that to work with a listing agent, not just a buyer's agent. I know you're super against it right now and you don't want to pay commission and you don't want to pay the double and you want to preserve equity. But if you sat down with someone and they showed you a way that actually listing the property made you XYZ% more and put more equity that we're trying to preserve in your pocket, that's an idea you'd be totally radically against? Probably not, right? So we want to, again, number one is ask them that question, find out the real objection. Number two, tie them down back to their financial objective, like we've talked about in every single one of these objections. So, oh, this is a great one, guys. I'm going to list with flat fee brokerage. We've heard that one 100 times. I'm going to list with flat fee brokerage. Hey, look, John, first and foremost, before we start getting into this whole, you throw me an objection, I answer it and I handle it back. I don't want to do that with you today. The only reason why, and this is me completely stepping out of the script, guys, I'm showing you a completely different way to agree and acknowledge, which is a framework. John, before we go ahead and do this back and forth, I know you've talked to a bunch of agents and they give you the same spiel, the same pitch. The only reason why I'm on the phone call with you today is to figure out whether or not the people that I have access to can bring you something that makes sense to you and your family. Is that okay? So the first thing I want to say with flat fee brokerage, John, is you'd agree with me that the only reason why you're trying to do flat fee brokerage is to figure out if that's going to bring you more money, because it's less commission. It's a $500, $1,000 fee. The reason why you're doing that is to obviously make more money with the property, right? So I want to present this information to you, and all it is just information presented. Would you say with me, it sounds like you're a very smart person, by the way, so I want to ask you this. Would you say that if flat fee brokerage was very successful in bringing a better financial result to sellers, wouldn't you say that more than 50, 60, 70% of sellers would use flat fee brokerage? Because the actual statistic, the real statistic is that 95% of homes on the MLS are agent represented. I don't say that to push facts down your throat or opinions. All I want to get you to understand, John, with me here today on this call, is that preserving the equity on this home is the most important thing to you. So all I would recommend is meeting with a flat fee brokerage or two, meeting with 3 or 4 professionals, and then discussing your options of working with any family, friends, or members, and seeing which route makes you guys feel that can bring you the best option. Would you agree with me? And then you go ahead and go for the closing. Like, guys, there's so many ways to do this. That's why when someone says, like, here's my script playbook, I call it a playbook. Here's my script book with my lines. There's lines and there's objection handlers, but it's a framework, guys. I can sit here for 4 hours and give you guys 15 different ways to handle every single objection. But the whole point of all these objections, as you guys are noticing, is that you want to relate, you want to bond with the seller, you want to agree, acknowledge, tie them down to a yes, and then say, if I were able to bring you ABC and I got you XYZ, is that something you're freaking totally against? Okay, that's a great way to handle that one. The flat fee brokerage. At the end of the day, we want to go back. Hey, John, your main objective is to make the most amount of money, right? And then give them factual information, which I just gave you guys. That's actually facts. This is a very rare one, but I've gotten it before, right? Do you market to international buyers? Hey, Alexis, like, do you market to international buyers? Hey, John, let me ask you a question. I'd love to break our marketing plan down to you real quick now. Would you say that regardless of who buys his home, who gets marketed the home to, would you say that your number one objective here for selling this home is to make sure you net as much money as possible, just so I make sure we're on the same page? Yes. Great. So John, here's what I'd like to do. I'd love, like, even if I walked you through down my entire marketing plan, what buyers we market to, how do we market to them, would you say that right now you're capable of making a decision on the phone if those things made sense? Right? Similar to what we did with how much you charge, what's the property list for. Instead of breaking down how we can market to those international buyers, or we got to figure out whether or not they even want the international buyers. We'll say, hey, look, even if I broke this information down to you, are you ready to make a decision on the phone? No. Closing line, appointment. We've already been through that. I don't want to reiterate myself. But all you got to do, guys, is go back, tie them down to their financial objective, close and set the appointment. And then there you can ask them, hey, John, let me ask you a question. Would you say that finding international buyers is something that's important to you? And why? Probably gonna say, oh, I've heard they bring more money. I've heard the buyers from Spain bring more money. And then you want to give them factual information, the research that you've done that shows which buyer is going to actually bring them more money, okay? Let's go to, and guys, by the way, again, reiterating this, if I didn't elaborate enough on any of these objections and you guys have questions or anything pops up, that's why you guys are in my freaking community for. Ask questions, type in the chat, type in school, and I'm more than happy to make more videos for you guys, okay? Let's wrap this up, guys. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 objections left. Stay with me. We're going to finish this and we're going to wrap this up very strong. That way you guys can become the FSBO freaking kings in your market, okay? This is a very common one. Hey, Alexis, look, man, don't even worry about it. You sound like a great agent. I appreciate the conversation. I just know way too many realtors that I can work with. Instead of being the rookie agent and saying, hey, Sally, like, wouldn't you not want to create any problems between your family and your friends and all the realtors? Wouldn't you just want to work with someone? You don't want to mix business and family, right? That's what the rookie agent would say. All you're going to say is, hey, look, John, first and foremost, you probably haven't heard this answer before, but I'm actually glad that you know a lot of realtors that you can work with, because unlike other people, I'm not going to speak for other people, but I genuinely, my intention every time I call someone and I pick up the phone, notice this energy. This is exactly how I freaking talk to people. All I want is to make sure that you are in the best position to sell your home for as much money as possible. If you're not in that position, it's my job to find a way to put you in that position. So the fact that you know a lot of realtors gives you options. Let me ask you this, John. How many of those agents have you met with and sat down and gone over a strategy to sell his home? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, or none. So John, let me ask you a question. Like, you sound like a smart person. Obviously, you own a $500,000 home. Would you say that meeting with 4 or 5 professionals and getting all their opinions and then deciding whether that one of those or for sale by owner is the best route, would you say that's the best possible way to figure out how to put yourself in the best position to sell his home? Yes, great. Ask for the appointment, closing line, set the appointment, and go. Guys, these are freaking golden nuggets, but most people don't know how to tackle these objections because they don't understand the framework. You want to agree, acknowledge, and make them be like, yo, what the heck? Like, my guard's down. Like, this person's it's just having a conversation when they're speaking facts. Tie them down and say, wouldn't you say that making the most amount of money is the most important? Wouldn't you say obvious yes questions? Wouldn't you say that meeting with 4, 5, 6 professionals and getting different strategies and opinions and going over with your wife and your family to make sure you ensure that the most amount of equity is pulled from this home? Would you say that's worth 15 or 20 minutes? Yes, yes, close. All right. And guys, there's obviously different ways to handle these objections, but these are little videos that I'm making for you guys in school. That's what we have the comment section for. If you guys want alternative ways, we're obviously going to continue making videos, but these are just a couple different ways for these objections. There's literally hundreds of ways to manage these objections with different words with the same framework, okay? I want you guys to understand that. Hey, look, Alexis, we're paying 2% commission. Bring me a buyer. Hey, Sally, first and foremost, thank you for sharing with me that you guys are paying 2% commission. Based on what you've told me and what you're telling me on this call, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. It sounds like your number one objective is to make sure you preserve the equity and sell this home for as much money. Is that right? Guys, same concept. Back to the objective, tie down, and then present. So let me just ask you this, Sally, because I want to make sure this call makes sense. I know you've talked to a bunch of us and I don't want it to get repetitive for you, and I do have another call afterwards. If there was a way that I can, I don't even know, again, if I can do this, but if I showed you that I had access to XYZ buyers that can actually bring you the ABC result that you're looking for, is that a conversation at this point, Sally, that you're completely 100% against? Probably not, right? The way we present is very important, guys. We want to bring their guard down. Notice how I objection prevented. I said, hey, Sally, I know you're probably, over these calls. I don't want to sound repetitive. I don't want to take too much of your time. Bringing their guard down, but just out of curiosity, so I see whether or not this makes sense. If I were to bring you, XYZ price and terms that got you to ABC, which is their motivation, you should have uncovered, is that a conversation you'd be totally opposed to? Notice, guys, also I want to mention, when I train, I talk very fast. I say this a lot. you don't want to like deliver these lines like super fast. If they're not engaged and they're going to hang up, you might want to be a little bit quicker, but it's more like Sally, like, let me ask you this. I know you're super overwhelmed with these calls. I don't want to be repetitive. I don't want to consume your time. I'll let you go now after this, but out of curiosity, because I want to make sure this makes sense or not. If there was a way that I can present to you that I had access to buyers that could actually bring you XYZ price and terms, and that made sense to you, and it could actually get you to ABC in a manner that you were 100% comfortable with, but it involved working with an agent, is that an idea you're completely against at this point in your process? That's more what it actually sounds like, because I don't want you guys to get the idea that you got to be like freaking, no, but this is how I train. I want you guys to understand, listen to my actual calls, listen to my live calls, and then break in this framework into those calls, okay? If I end up listing, I already have someone. Same kind of deal with, I have a lot of realtors that I know. Hey, look, John, I love the fact that you have a plan in place. So obviously, the only goal I have, by the way, just to let you know, is to figure out whether or not you're in the best position to sell this home. If not, figure out a way that I can bring value to you. So the fact that you already have someone in mind is great. Let me ask you this at this point. Obviously, it sounds like you're exploring other options since you are for sale by owner. If you met someone in this process that actually made you feel a lot better about the possibility to sell his home for more money, are you completely obligated to that other person right now? Or would you be at least open to exploring working with another person if it meant more money for you guys at this point? That is a great tie down freaking question, guys. They're going to go say yes 100% of the times. You go for the hypothetical, lean out right after they say yes, you know what, I'd be open to it. Lean out, close, get the appointment, and then present, okay? We are going to buyer's agents only. We already did that one. And then the last one, we've handled this objection a lot, guys. Hey, Alexis, I'm not really in a rush. That's a smoke screen. So we want to lean out. Hey, look, John, I figured, man, I get it. I know you're overwhelmed. I know you're being crushed by phone calls, and I don't want to be another one of those phone calls. All I simply want to know is whether or not this is a possible opportunity on the market for the people I have access to. So if I did bring you a buyer that had XYZ terms that made sense to you, how quickly would you guys be able to get this property closed? That's going to either bring up, hey, look, I'm not really motivated, or they're going to say, hey, look, I'd be able to close in XYZ timeframe, which means that they're just overwhelmed and they want you off the phone. So you got to bring their guard down even more. Hey, John, look, I completely get it, man. You don't want to meet with anybody. You're overwhelmed. You can't tell who's who on the phone. All you want to do is preserve the equity in this home, right? And sell it for more money, correct? If there was a 5% chance that I can do this, and you go back into that the whole line of if there was an opportunity that I can do this, that's all I want to do, would you say it's a terrible idea to meet for 15 or 20 minutes? Get the appointment, close the appointment, guys. Again, we went over literally this is probably every single objection in the book for sale by owner. If you guys have any freaking questions on these, comment below.